Alrighty. Question number 2, and I'm glad you brought it because you kind of touched up on it a little bit, Salima, and I'm glad you brought it up because that transitions to question number 2 when you spoke about the contracts. Do you believe in a third party to mediate marriage when it comes to finances?
I think that we should absolutely. I really think. I think people are going into marriage jaded, completely and totally jaded, and they're not looking at the marriage as a whole. They're just looking at, I love this person, or I have feelings for this person, and everything gonna be all right. I got my job, he got his job. It's gonna work, as opposed to actually having a plan before you get married. Who's going to pay for this? Who's going to pay for that?
Right. He admitted at first.
How much are we going to save? Marriage. Right. How much are we going to save per month? What are we going to do with those savings? How many times a year are we going to go on vacation? These things need to be discussed.
Amen.
And that is the problem. You have these people who just go into it because it's something to do. They want to spend all this money on one day, and then when they come back off of this excursion honeymoon, and they go back to work, they can't pay their car notes.
And also, the thing I say with marriage is there's even a phrase called an elopement, where it's just the two of y'all just get married and that's it. And there are some people that do that, and it's not a problem, and more people are doing it because yes, you want your family and stuff like that, but at the same time, hosting a marriage is expensive. It's not something that's cheap, and if you really can't afford it, just elope. It's just gonna be me and thing. We're gonna probably go on a honeymoon, and that's it. And that's what the marriage is. The marriage is not this grand thing for the world to see. It's between you and that person. That's the first thing I would say. The second thing I would also say is there should definitely be a third party, because a third party can see stuff you can't see, or what we may not be able to see. When you go talk to you do that for anything as a business. You have finances, but you also talk to a tax consultant. You talk to business consultant. Like, there are different consultants and stuff that you talk to give you a better perspective, or something that you may not see that makes your decision more informed.
Yep.
I agree. At first, when he asked the question, I thought he meant like after marriage, when you guys are like, month to month. I'm like, I would hope that both of them would be smart enough to be able to balance checks. But you guys were talking about before marriage, making sure all that stuff straightened out and having the third party in. I agree with Salima and Jabari on that stuff. Yeah. I think that's incredibly important. Incredibly important. If you got to get a prenup, if the woman have to get a prenup, if the man got to get a prenup, y'all hash all that stuff out beforehand. Don't wait till you get married and then want to hash that stuff out. Get that mess talked about right away. So there's no.
And then you pull a Jay Cutler. Or you pull a Jay Cutler and Amazon, where Jay Cutler said, I want half of my wife's asset of her company because you didn't put a prenup. That's not happening. Like, if there is I always say that if there is a significant income gap between you and your partner, prenup need to happen. Like, there's no, he makes, no, if there is a significant income gap between the two of you, prenup needs to happen automatically.
A little different. I don't care about the amount. If you have something under, like me, I have my land or I have my little business. It's not a lot.
But I'm gonna tell you right now, you're not gonna be calling, ma'am. You're not gonna be calling your business a little business. We're not doing none of that. Okay, that's your business. Okay,
it's my. I work. Yeah, you're right. I work hard on it. It's a business.
Thanks, ma'am. Okay. But next time somebody call my business a little business, I'm poking their eyeballs out. Next time somebody call my business a little business, they're gonna be blind.
I hear what you're saying. I think you're right. But I mean, just if anybody has something that they brought to the relationship beforehand, especially if it's something to do with like family heirlooms or something like that. Even if it's not a lot or whatever, I think people should talk about that. But even if it's, but on the flip side, if somebody in the relationship makes a lot of money and someone makes a little money, my thing is, what have you guys agreed on before that? If you guys agree, hey, I'm a multimillionaire and I want to share it with this person because I love them, and you guys are like sound, you're not just doing it in a rush or whatever, and you're like, okay, I'll say for example, like say a man is like super rich and he marries a woman that's not as rich as him, but he wants her to be a traditional housewife and all that stuff, then yeah, you gotta come up with some of that money, because the way traditional wives and households and stuff was run, it was not fair on the woman, because the woman had to stay home and give up her career and all that stuff. So in a case like that, whether it's a man or a woman, actually, it should be talked about, and something fair should be worked out. But I think too, but even if somebody doesn't have a lot of money, they should still talk about that if they have other assets that are important to them.
Go ahead.
I was just reading a book where the wife was she's a songwriter, and she stopped writing music when she got married to her husband, who works in the financial field. But she's still getting royalties, so she still has her own money. But he made her sign a prenup, stated if she cheated on him, he get half her money.
What?
And vice versa.
No, that's not. That's
okay.
Not, well, okay, so, if she cheated, okay, but I mean,
right. But he found out that she was cheating on him, but he was already cheating on her, and she had proof. So he was basically blackmailing her to stay married with him so that he wouldn't take half her money, because he had physical proof pictures that she was cheating. I'm like,
is it both ways? Did he have money too, or did he not?
Oh, both of them had money.
And did the cheating clause count for both of them?
It was for both of them. That's what I said. So mine cancels yours out. So just leave me alone.
Yeah,
but he was definitely more savvy in the laws than she was. So he was basically using that against her. You better get your own lawyer. Don't use nobody that he know. Your own lawyer.
Yeah, it's the law. You have to get your own lawyer. You have a certain amount of days. Yeah, because I'm sorry, that recently changed. Because what's his name? What's that baseball player that bleached his skin?
What is his name?
Sammy Sosa.
Sammy Sosa. Yeah, his marriage, when he married like one of his previous wives recently, he presented like a prenup to her like the day of, and everybody was like already there for the wedding and stuff. It was like forcing her to do it. And then after they got divorced, she fought that in court, because he's like, I had her sign the papers. Ha ha ha, I'm going to win. She took it to court. Here's the rule now. The rule is, even if you have a signed prenup and stuff like that, you can still contest it. If the judge feels that it's unfair to one party, the judge can override that shit. So men out here thinking, I got a prenup, you can override, and vice versa. If, say, a woman has a lot of money and made a man sign a prenup and all that stuff, if the judge is like, this is unfair, no matter how legal it was, the judge can throw it out if he feels like it. So that's one of the laws, and it came from the Sammy Sosa case recently. And then another thing that came from the Sammy Sosa case was you have a certain amount of days. Say you give the prenup to your wife or something like that. I think she has like 7 days to find a lawyer to represent her, and then they have a certain amount of days that they have to sign it before the wedding. You can't give it to them like the day before the wedding. A certain amount of time has to pass, like a couple of weeks have to pass before it's all legal. And if you go outside that time frame, it's not legally binding, and you can totally toss it out if you guys get divorced.
That is awesome.
Yeah, and it's because of that whole. I was just talking to a lawyer about that. It was because of that whole Sammy Sosa case. He popped out on her last minute. She had no control. It was like her family was there. She was all dressed in all this stuff for the wedding, and he was like, "Oh,
yeah, that's disrespectful. Yeah,
he low
that's
down.
disrespectful.
Yeah, and she was basically literally forced to sign.
How he was that type of person with the way he bleached his skin like that? She was stupid anyway.
Yep, and so they changed the laws because of that, because of Sammy Sosa and his stuff. You
heard about it?
Even if they go by the rules and do it by the right amount of time and all stuff, if it is so heavy-handed, one-sided, unfair, then the judge can throw it out. And that's even if, say, a man's super rich and the woman he's marrying is dirt poor. If he has a prenup that says she gets absolutely nothing, we've been married for 10 years, and after 10 years, I left her for somebody, and she gets zero, the judge can be like, this is not fair. I don't like this, and can toss it out, completely out. So they do that. So they say that makes whoever has more money or whatever, you better come up with a fair prenup, or because if that judge looks at it and don't like it, he'll throw it out and you will be totally unprotected. I think that's a good rule. That's for all sides. That's for if a woman's rich and the man doesn't have a penny, or if the man is rich and the woman doesn't have a penny, or if they're both around the same.
God damn.
It's a good rule. It's like you better be fair or somebody else is going to be deciding for you. I'm like,
Y'all heard about Steven Jackson's marriage? Y'all heard that, right?
No.
When he was giving his conversation, his description of why he ended up calling off his marriage.
No, why?
Why?
Oh, long story short, it really is something that we should probably play just because
I remember
to hear him say it. You remember?
Yeah,
bruh. I'm gonna find the link. I'm gonna just go ahead and throw it up. There's still a. Oh wait, I don't have access to that. But anyway, she put off signing the prenup until the day of the wedding on some hustle shit.
Yeah.
And then tried to bring in her pastor to have him convince him to go through with the marriage. And then tried to set it up at last minute so that she could say, I signed this in duress.
The very last minute.
Oh. See, it be foolishness on both sides.
My thing about it, and my whole point about it is that, you know, obviously one, you need to sign, like you need to do a prenup, but also like you need to know what you're getting yourself into. Like, I think that's one of the things that people don't understand. Like, if you're somebody who you know that there is a huge discrepancy and you choose to date somebody who is not on par with you, because like I said, if we got the same amount of money, I'm not gonna sign. I'll be honest, I wouldn't sign it because we're both the same. So it's like it's pointless. It's really pointless because we're in the same level. But if we're not in the same level, I'm sorry, it's just not. We're not gonna be like that type because, like, I need like to. I'm more the kind of person I want people on the same level. I don't like discrepancy. I don't like discrepancy. Yes, you can be with somebody and it can work out. Most of the time, it's not, and then you put yourself in the situation. The same thing with most dudes. And that's what some dudes don't get. Like, where men are holding off. No, because you're making bad decisions. If you don't want to have to deal with this prenup and sharing assets, maybe you should get a woman who is on the same level as you, or a little bit above, so you don't have to deal with it. Instead, you like, let me just get any woman or anybody. And then when it backfires, then they're just like, well, you didn't have to marry her. You didn't even have to date her.
Okay, so let's take this out of the finance part. What about a mediator when it comes to, you know, just relationship problems in general? You know, like if there was an argument that happened and they need a third party to, you know, see both sides and, you know, just see who's in the wrong or how this can be solved or whatever. Like, do you think a third party is necessary for that, or should it just be the two people or the polygamy for God's sake to just work it out instead of having an outsider, playing playing neutral but also giving like their insight as well? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
I'm a firm believer in counseling. I think that that a third party that is neutral could probably help that situation, depending on what the situation is. It's funny because my ex and I, when we were together, I was really sick at one point, and he would go with me to my doctor's appointments, and I was really, really close with my physician, and she would basically tell us, like, she was basically being our counselor. And it was crazy how it just happened like that. But and a lot of times it was her telling him, stop letting her play on your emotions because she's sick and doing stuff that she has absolutely no business doing. Like, I'm gonna need you to get it together and stop worrying about the fact that she's sick. She's getting better. So you don't let her just do whatever she want or make you do things that you know is wrong, because we had these conversations, and she was able to assist us through that really, really well. And I don't think that if I had a different doctor, I don't think we would have made it through that, because she was just straight up and honest with us, So I think that's definitely beneficial to have somebody as a sounding board so that they can listen to both parties. But again, it is not going to help if the people aren't being honest,
Right.
So
Right.
it all depends on who the people are and whether or not they're going to be completely honest and trying to really work through that situation.
Because I had came across listened to a podcast, and they were saying that for them, they had chose people that would defend the opposite side. So, like, for an example, my dad is somebody that, would hold me accountable. And so if I ever was in a relationship, he's going to be on her side, or in other words, what did I do wrong, such, instead of, being on my side because that's my dad. And so if you have like certain family that's involved, and then let's say if it's not a big issue and it got solved, you guys are good, but then, Mama Joe or Uncle Ruckus still might have that side eye during the cookout.
That's it. Right. Exactly.
And then, they eating potato salad, like, oh, you heard about Salima? Like, just.
Right. That's why I said it should be like a outside person, not a family member.
Right.
Because the thing of it is like.
Credible source.
Right. I have a cousin who, when she first started dating her current boyfriend, she would call me with all the crazy things that he was doing to her. And, so I don't like him because I know the things that you did to her. I know the things that you put her through. She used to call me crying or whatever, but I had to accept the fact that she's still with this man. Yeah. I'm talking about, I think their son is 8 years old, something like that now. So I had to put, okay, he gonna be around. I don't rock with him the way I would rock with somebody else, but he's there. I'm cordial to him. I never disrespect him. But everybody is not like that. Had it been another person in my family, they would still be like, oh, he can't even come around. Because at one point, I wouldn't let him come in my house because of the things that he had done to her. So, but I got over it. She got over it. So I had to get over it, But a lot of times, if it's a family member, the family member is not going to just get over it. It has to be somebody outside and impartial.
Yeah. I agree. I'm back up. Thank you.
And I also want to say, when it comes to that, I think one of the most important things about that, if you have issues, is get credible. But also, I think the aspect that people have to look at or seem to forget about is if somebody's coming to you, right, and there is a significant problem, but there are red flags, like they're in fear or something like that, then that's when like you really need to like consider going like doing it themselves to remove them from the situation. Obviously, I know that majority of the time that's not the case, but sometimes that can happen. And so that part people need to consider. And also for me, I'm a person who we need to have this conversation or argument, but at the same time, you have to come with good intentions. And sometimes in a relationship, that person is not coming from good intention, and that's unfortunate because if both of you guys are coming from good intentions, it can be resolved. But if one person is not coming from with good intentions, they're coming with ulterior motives, then a third party is really not going to do anything because their motives are not in the right. And so you have to make sure that the motives are in the right place so that when we do have this conversation, we do seek out help. I want you to know that I'm coming from a place of good intention. Even in the most extreme situations, if somebody were to cheat or do that, right? Yes, I may not like that you may have done that. I may not. But at the end of the day, if I truly believe that you truly care about me. Now I don't know how some of you ladies or how y'all feel about that, but I will stick with you despite the fact that happened because I'm still coming with good intention. And if your intention is, okay, I had this situation, but that was the only situation, it was for a brief thing. Okay, I'm willing to work and stuff like that. But if you're coming from bad intentions, like you're doing this as a smoke screen, then no, fuck the third party, fuck like all that. It's over. We don't even need to have a conversation. Let's just end it right here.
Shot club. Whoop whoop. I'm sorry. Question number 3. We got 2 more.